Welcome. I'm Martin Jarvis. Ghost and horror stories have always been part of our world, and we invite you to share in a few of these tales. Some you'll know, some you won't. I hope you enjoy the series. This is the first of our chilling tales, and a strangely frightening story it is, with even a moral lesson at its heart. You'll hear more quite soon. The story was written by W.W. Jacobs, a prolific teller of short tales to chill your blood. The time is about 1890, the location the industrial north of England. Factories abound, and most people have work. The British are masters of India, the British Raj, and many people make their lives and their fortunes out there. The British Army still has a strong presence on the Indian continent. Our heroes, if we can call them that, are the Whites, a simple family, not wealthy, but they're content with their lot in life, not too different from many families of today. The Whites live in a modest house, a house which we would now call Victorian. Mr. and Mrs. White had their only son, Herbert, late in life. In fact, he was almost certainly a surprise. Herbert is 24. He works in a nearby industrial factory. Mr. White is in his 60s, semi-retired, but he does odd jobs for local people. Mrs. White is a typically hard-working housewife of the day. They've saved for their old age, so though, as I said, certainly not well off, they have enough to get by. This is their story.
Hark at that wind.
Well, I'm listening. Check.
I shouldn't think he'll come now.
Mate.
That's the trouble with living so far out. No one wants to come to such an isolated place.
Never mind, dear. You'll win the next game.
Dad, look, I know I keep saying this, but why don't we get gas lighting? It's not like you can't afford it. Besides, your chest is about as good as Mother's knitting.
Cheeky monkey.
Yes, you are and all. And you know I don't want any of them newfangled things. Just buy oil and candles. That's just fine. And my eyesight's very good, thank you very much. So set the pieces up again. Blow me, if that isn't him after all. Hey, Mother! Herbert! This is my old friend, Sergeant Major Morris. 20 years he's been gone away in India. He was just a lad when he went away.
Well, it doesn't seem to have done him much harm. You'll take a drop of whiskey, Sergeant Major, to ward off the chill of this awful night.
Yes, of course he will. Tell us about this great country of India.
Thank you, ma'am. This is very welcome. Yes, it's an amazing place, India, full of strange sights, fakirs, elephants, largest animals you've ever seen, and magic. Oh, yes, and the magic.
take this little thing. A sort of talisman. A monkey's paw. A monkey's paw with a spell upon it.
How do you mean?
This little monkey's paw, well, it's had a spell put on it. It's had a spell put on it by an old fakir who wanted to show that fate ruled people's lives, and those who interfered with it had nothing but misery. He put a spell on it so that 3 different people could have 3 wishes from it.
Oh, what do you mean? Have you had 3 wishes?
I have had.
What were they?
I think I'd rather not say. But I kept them simple. The first man who had it, well, for his 3rd wish, he wished for death. And that's how I came about it.
You've had your 3 wishes. What do you keep it for?
Well, I suppose I had an idea that I might sell it, but I don't think so now. It's brought nothing but misery.
Don't burn it!
Better to let it burn.
What did you do that for? Well, if you don't want it, I'll keep it.
If you must keep it, then don't blame me for what happens. My advice is to pitch it into the fire again, where it belongs.
What do I do with it?
Hold it in your right hand and wish out loud. But I must warn you of the consequences.
Well, you might wish for 4 pair of hands for me. I could do with the help.
But I must warn you, if you're going to wish sensibly.
Of course I will.
Now, come on and have your supper. There's plenty to eat. Come on.
And they settle back to enjoy a friendly supper and to listen to more fantastic tales of India, until eventually it's time for Sergeant Major Morris to leave.
Well, my dear friend, remember what I said, and be careful with that damned monkey's paw.
Oh, don't you worry, I will.
Well, thank you, Mrs. White, for a marvellous spread. And you, young Herbert, take good care of yourself. Thank you.
Good night,
Good night.
Sergeant Major. Lovely to see you.
Good night, Sergeant Morris.
Good night. He's an interesting man. Now, let's take this lot off on the side.
It's all right, Mother. I'll do it in the morning.
Oh, thank you, love. I'm fair wore out.
Yes. I offered him something for it, but he wouldn't take it. Pressed me to throw it away again.
As if you'd do that. Wow. We're going to be rich. And then Mother won't nag you anymore, Dad. Go on. Go on, Dad, make a wish.
I don't know what to wish for. Seems to me I have all I want.
You'd be quite happy if the house were paid for, though, wouldn't you, Dad?
Yes, son, you're quite right there. That would be a burden lifted. I wish for £200. He moved. He moved. Twisted in my hand just like a snake.
Well, I don't see any money. I doubt I ever shall.
It must have been your imagination that it twisted, my dear. It must have been your fancy.
Gave me quite a fright, I can tell you. Oh, all in one piece, no harm done.
Well, it's time for you and I to go to bed. It's quite enough excitement for one night.
Well, that was a disappointment. I expect you'll find the cash tied up in a big bag in the middle of your bed with a horrible monkey squatting on top of it. No, Mum.
No, love.
Nah, Dad.
Are you coming, dear?
Yes. Yes. Truly amazing, that was. Amazing.
I wonder where our Herbert is. He'll not have much time to eat his sandwich.
What was that?
I need to talk to you.
Well, Mother, it's Mr. Jackson, the foreman from Herbert's factory. Please take a seat, Mr. Jackson.
I prefer to stand, Mr. White, if you don't mind.
Oh, my God, it's Herbert, isn't it? Is he all right? Tell me he's all right.
I'm afraid there's been an accident. Herbert seemed rather distracted this morning. He knows he has to be very vigilant. But, as I say, he wasn't his normal self and, well, he got caught in the machinery.
Is he badly hurt?
I'm so sorry. We turned the machine off as quick as we could, but it wasn't quick enough.
He's not dead, is he? Oh, tell me he's not dead.
I am so sorry. And so is the firm. It was a terrible accident, but not really the fault of the company. They will compensate you, of course.
How much?
Well, they thought £200 would be more than generous in the circumstances.
The sad couple bury their only beloved son and return to their lives, humbled and disconsolate. About a week passes, and the lives of our heroes, I really shouldn't call them that, are paralyzed with grief. They're quite unable to resume any kind of normality.
The monkey's paw. The monkey's paw, where is it? The monkey's paw, where is it?
What is it, love? What's the matter?
The monkey's paw. Oh, why didn't I think of it before?
What do you mean?
Well, we've only had one wish. We've got two more. We can wish our boy alive again.
Wasn't one wish enough?
Oh.
Have you gone mad, woman? It was just a terrible coincidence. There is no magic.
We can make another wish. We can make him alive again. Get the paw. Oh, come on. Wish. 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 Go on. Wish.
I wish for our son to be alive again.
It's Herbert. I know it is. It's our son.
It's nothing. You're imagining things. You're too upset.
It's my son. I know it is. Let me go, you wretched man. You will not hold me back from him.
Anna, think what you're doing. Don't let it in. Jackson said he was mutilated by the machine. Think what he might look like. For God's sake, don't let it in. They wouldn't even let us see him in his coffin. The lid was down when we got there. It won't be our Herbert. It won't be our son.
You're afraid of your own son. Let me go. I'm coming, Herbert. I'm coming, my darling son. Oh, for God's sake, help me! He's his son! Herbert! 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 Oh, yeah, Mother's here, love. Herbert. Herbert.
I'm sorry, love. I had to do it. It was the only thing to do.
So, as you can imagine, the Whites never recover from the tragedy of losing their only son in such evil circumstances, all victims of their own wishes. We often wish for what we do not have, for some magic, perhaps, to improve our lot in life. But here, sadly, the old adage, beware of what you wish for, proved horribly true for this little family. However, my friends, I look forward to seeing you again for our next chilling tale. Bye for now.
Our next chilling tale, The Telltale Heart, was published in 1843 and written by that great American writer, Edgar Allan Poe. The story tells of a young man driven to the point of insanity by his neighbor's vulture-like, staring eye. We might say our hero is suffering from OCD, obsessive-compulsive disorder, which finally drives him over the edge into total madness and murder. Here is his tragic story.
True, nervous, very dreadfully nervous I have been in heaven. Why will you say that I am mad? Mad men know nothing. However, my senses were sharpened. Above all, the sense of hearing acute. Oh, you should have seen me. I did nothing to make you think me mad. I heard all things in heaven and in earth. I heard many things in hell. It is impossible to say how the idea first entered my brain, but once conceived, it haunted me day and night. Object, there was none. Passion, there was none. I lived here. The old man's room was up the staircase. Mine was close by. I loved the old man. He had never wronged me. He had never given me insult. For his gold, I had no desire. I think it was his eye. Yes, I think it was this. He had the eye of a vulture, a pale blue eye with a film over it. Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold. And so by degrees, very gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man and thus rid myself of that eye forever. Now, this is the point. Fancy me mad. Madmen know nothing. But you should have seen me. You should have seen how wisely I proceeded, and with what caution, with what foresight, with what dissimulation I went to work. I was never kinder to the old man than during the whole week before I killed him. Closed. always closed.
How are you, sir? And how did you pass the night, my good friend?
Fine. Fine. Thank you.
Good. Good, good. No untoward noises to disturb you then?
No. 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 Thank you.
Night 8.
Who's there?
Oh, I know that groan. It is one of mortal terror. It arises from the bottom of the soul. Now he is telling himself not to be afraid, telling himself it is only the wind in the chimney. But, my friend, it is death, death approaching.
Sir, one of your neighbors reported hearing a dreadful shriek coming from this house, and we're here to investigate.
A cry, you say? I'm afraid that was me, officer. At times I have terrible dreams, and I cry out in my sleep.
We heard that there was an old man lodging here as well.
Oh, yes, and my dear friend he is, but he's away in the country at the moment. Why don't you come in? Then you can see for yourself. Come, come.
The old man's room is up here. Come in, come in. I want to show you my friend's room. Have a seat. Sit for a spell before you leave. My friend keeps some gold under the bed.
Now you are alone. Have you lived in the city long?
Yes, well, about 3 years now. The city is such an interesting place. I grew up in the country and clerk here now.
Oh, I moved there from the country too.
Oh, well then you know! Ha! It certainly takes some getting used to, doesn't it? The city. It's almost like a living, breathing thing with a constant beating. Yes, you do hear it, don't you? Well, I don't envy you your jobs. Constantly investigating. That neighbor, he's always hearing things too. Ah.
We'll leave you alone now.
Oh, well, if you must go. Thank you for coming. Allow me to show you out. Oh, you do hear it, don't you? You must. Liars, villains, will dissemble no more. I admit the deed. I admit it. It is here under the planks. Here is the beating of his hideous heart.
And now for a little female insanity and early feminism. The Yellow Wallpaper was written by Charlotte Perkins Gilman, an early pioneer of women's rights and freedom from a male-dominated world. Our heroine is keeping a diary of her confinement by her doctor husband, a cold and remote man, in a room dominated by some hideous yellow wallpaper, in the hope that it will cure her of her apparent emotional issues. Instead, the woman becomes completely hypnotized by the wallpaper and drifts into total madness.
colonial mansion, a haunted house. Else why would it be let so cheaply? John laughs at me, of course, but one expects that in a marriage. John is a physician, and perhaps that is why I do not get well faster. If I had less opposition and more society and stimulus. This house has been empty for years. There's something strange about the house. I can feel it. I don't like our room one bit. I wanted one downstairs that opened onto the piazza, but John would not hear of it. He's very careful and loving and hardly lets me stir without special direction. I was to have perfect rest and all the air I could get. So we took the nursery at the top of the house. But I never saw a worse paper in my life. We've been here 2 weeks now, and I haven't felt like writing before since that first day. John is away all day and even some nights when his cases are serious. I'm glad that my case is not serious, but these nervous troubles are dreadfully depressing. John does not know how I really suffer. Of course, it's only nervousness. I suppose John never was nervous in his life. He laughs at me so about this wallpaper. I used to lie awake as a child and get more terror and pleasure out of blank walls and furniture than most children could get in a toy store. I can see a provoking, formless sort of figure that seems to skulk about behind that silly and provoking front design. Fourth of July is over. John says if I do not pick up faster, he will send me to Dr. Weir Mitchell in the fall. I do not want to go there. I'm really getting quite fond of this room, in spite of the wallpaper. Maybe because of the wallpaper. It dwells on my mind so. I lie here on this immovable bed and follow that pattern about by the hour. I don't know why I should write this, but I must say what I feel and think in some way. It's such a great relief. It's getting to be a great effort for me to think straight. And dear John gathered me up in his arms and laid me on the bed. He said I was his darling, all he had, and that I must take care of myself for his sake and keep well. He says no one but myself can help me out of it, that I must use my will and self-control and not let silly fancies run away with me. Of course, I don't tell him about the wallpaper anymore. Oh no, I am too wise. But I keep watch of it all the same. And behind those front bars, that same shape gets clearer every day. And it's always the same shape. Help me out of here. wish John would take me away from here. There is one marked peculiarity about this paper. It changes so quickly that I never can quite believe it. Worst of all, by moonlight, there are bars.
Let me out.
I lie down a great deal, but I hardly ever sleep. And that cultivates deceit. You see, I do not tell John. The fact is, I'm getting a little afraid of John. He seems so queer sometimes. I've watched John, and several times I've caught him looking at the paper. Oh, I'm feeling so much better now. I do eat better, and I am much more quiet now. John is so pleased to see me improve. In fact, he laughed a little the other day and said I seemed to be flourishing in spite of the wallpaper. Oh, I don't want to leave now. There is just a week more, and I think that will be enough. I am feeling so much better. I don't sleep at all. But it's so interesting to watch developments. There is something else about this paper. The smell. It creeps all over the house. In this damp weather, it is awful. I wake up in the night and find it hanging over me. The front pattern moves. And no wonder. The woman behind shakes it. John is so queer now, and I don't want to irritate him. Besides, I don't want anyone getting that woman out of the paper but myself. If only the top pattern could be gotten off from the under one.
Yes.
Oh. I suppose I shall have to get back behind the paper soon, but it's so pleasant to be walking in this great room as I please. Why, there's John at the door. How he does call and pound so. I say in my gentlest voice, the key's by the front steps. I threw it out the window. That silences him for a few moments. And then he says in his gentlest voice, "Let me in, my darling." And then he gets the key. And of course, he comes in. And I keep on creeping just the same. But I look at him over my shoulder and I say, "I've got out at last! And you can't put me back because I'm pulling off all the paper!" Oh, why should that man have fainted? Right in my path. No, I shall have to walk over him every time.
This next story is a little different. Was the man mad or just way ahead of his time? The Damned Thing was written by the extraordinary Ambrose Bierce, veteran of the American Civil War, journalist, visionary, who disappeared while researching the Revolutionary War in Mexico in 1913. This is a story of an inquest into the mysterious death of a man living a solitary life in the early American West. As the jurors gather round the savaged body, the question is, who or what killed this man?
This. It's happening again. For another entire night, Buck barked furiously.
Buck! Buck!
Once again, I could find nothing. Has he gone mad? You smell something, boy?
We have been expecting you.
My apologies for keeping you, Coroner. I had to post my newspaper an account of what I suppose I'm called here to relate.
The account differs, I suspect, from that which you will give here, under oath.
That is as you please. I made a copy of the report I sent. It was not written as news, for it is incredible.
Incredible, you say?
That's nothing to you, sir. If I do also swear, it is true.
We will now begin the inquest. Do you swear to tell the truth at this hearing before these jurors?
I do.
You knew the deceased, Hugh Morgan?
I did.
How did this happen? Your presence, I mean.
I can stand it no longer. I've invited Harker to pass a few weeks with me. He has a level head. I can judge by his manner if he thinks me mad.
I was visiting this place to hunt and fish. Part of my purpose was also to study Morgan and his odd, solitary way of life. I thought he might make a good model for a character in fiction. I sometimes write stories.
I sometimes read them.
Thank you.
Stories in general, not yours. Relate the circumstances of this man's death. You may use any notes or memoranda as you please.
It was just after dawn when we departed the cabin. We were hunting for grouse. We startled a deer. Oh, I wish I'd brought a rifle. Oh, come now, you're not gonna fill up a deer with birdshot, are you? What is it then? Bear? What the devil is it?
That damn thing.
Before I could get to my feet and reach for my gun, I heard Morgan crying out in mortal agony. I had a vague belief that he was suffering from a fit, some kind of convulsion. May heaven spare me another sight like that. When I reached his side, he was down. Oh, my friend. He is dead.
A fantastic story indeed. Are we to believe the morning air caused this?
An animal of some kind.
But you did not see anything attack him.
None.
These were found on the deceased?
Morgan did love his spirits.
Gentlemen, we have no more evidence. Your duty has been explained to you. If you have nothing to ask, you may go outside and consider your verdict. Do not leave town until this inquiry is complete.
The book you have there. That's Morgan's diary, is it not? You seemed greatly interested in it when I was giving my testimony. May I see it? The public might be greatly
The
interested.
book will have no matter in this inquest.
For another entire night, Buck barked furiously. It has been about here again. I find evidence of its presence every day. I watched again all night last night in the same cover. It is terrible. It's unsupportable. If these amazing experiences are real, I shall go mad. If they are fanciful, I am mad already.
I shall not go away. You shall not drive me away. This is my house. My land. God hates a coward.
We, the jury, do find the remains come to their end at the hands of a mountain lion. Yet some of us think, all the same, he had fits.
I have the solution of the mystery. It came to me tonight. Suddenly, by revelation. How simple. How terribly simple. There are sounds we humans cannot hear. A flock of birds in full song in several different trees will suddenly at the same instant fly up into the air and away. Together. There must have been some sound, a warning that they could hear. Heard by me or any other human being. And whales, it is well known to seamen that whales can be basking, playing, and then suddenly at the same instant dive, all out of sight in a moment, alerted by a sound too grave for the ear of a seaman. As it is with sounds, so it must be with colors. I'm not mad. There are colors we cannot see. And God help me, that damn thing is of such a color.
Damned thing is of such a color. Simply the madness of solitude. That madness dies with Morgan.
Hello?
Anybody there?